Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. Today I want to take a quick look at the 10th episode, the season finale of Better Call Saul Season 4. A friendly warning to all, if you aren't caught up on all of Better Call Saul and all of Breaking Bad, there will be spoilers in this video, so viewers, please be warned.
But I was a fool, playing by the rules.
Things begin with a flashback where Chuck vouches for his brother Jimmy. There's a celebration, and holy shit, it's Ernesto, and he's singing Total Eclipse of the Heart. Jimmy's up next and convinces Chuck not to leave, and next thing you know, they're singing a duet before Chuck ultimately steals the show.
And someone way down here loses someone dear.
Chuck helps Jimmy stumble into bed, and Jimmy shares ambitions of adding an extra M to the HHM logo now that he's a lawyer. Chuck asks Jimmy if he'd prefer eggs or pancakes. Jimmy wants pancakes, and as the two brothers share Chuck's bed, they resume singing The Winner Takes It All.
I am in your arms, thinking I belong there.
Mike instructs the team to start searching for Ziegler, and Mike cons some dude a travel wire into revealing where Ziegler's wife wired the money, and Mike's off to the Albuquerque branch. Jimmy's hanging out at the cemetery where he appears to be mourning the 1-year anniversary of Chuck's death. But Saul is full of shit. It's all a big scheme orchestrated by Kim to make Jimmy appear sympathetic. Jimmy's apparently been hanging out at the cemetery all day, figuring people would drop by to pay their respects because of the upcoming law library dedication. Kim fuels Jimmy up in between visitors, and Jimmy does his mock morning hustle with artistic precision. Lalo is staking out Gus's operation from afar, and he's writing down some sort of notes. He sees Mike's team on the move and knows that something is up. Mike's at the Albuquerque branch, and he cons Fred with some bogus dementia story to get Fred to reveal information on Ziegler. Fred buys into it, and he even shows Mike some security cam footage. Mike sees Victor looking at him, and Mike goes out to see Gus, and Gus doesn't look happy. Gus knows when Ziegler's wife is flying in, and suspecting that Gus intends to kill Ziegler and his wife, Mike assures Gus that there's another way.
If I can find him before the wife gets here, let me bring him in and finish what he started. His crew can't do it without him. This is on me, I'll fix it.
Mike instructs his team, and he goes back to the travel wire where he has the transcript of Ziegler's last call with his wife read back to him. Mike has a lead, and he grabs some Natural Springs brochures and he tries tracking down the place Ziegler is staying. Meanwhile, Lalo has eyes on Mike and he follows him. Howard is at the library dedication, and he's being filmed by Saul's film geeks. This is all part of Kim's master plan, as they spread the rumor that Jimmy was the anonymous donor who footed the bill for all of this.
I happen to know Mr. James McGill paid for the reading room himself.
Really? The brother did this? I heard someone say that Jimmy paid for all this himself.
Dude, I'm pretty sure I heard someone say you paid for all of it.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't. I wish I could take credit for it, but I can't.
He'd prefer to remain anonymous.
Saul smoking a cigarette, Kim joins him, and she instructs him on how to play out this charade. Mike does finally track down the place Ziegler is staying, and he spots Lalo tailing him. So Mike starts chewing on some gum, and he pulls into a parking lot, grabs his ticket, and parks. Lalo decides to follow him, and Mike's acting as if that gum he liked had just come back in style. Lalo watches, and Mike makes a gadget out of the gum and wrapper. He waits for a bystander, and pulls out and cuts the bystander off. Mike enters his ticket, and then he jams up the machine with the gum gadget. The bystander is baffled, and Lalo is none too happy. So he plows into the guy, and he's too late. Mike gave him the slip. Howard, Jimmy, and various others are interviewing potential scholarship recipients. In the end, they have 3 scholarships, and the vote resulted in 3 frontrunners. But Saul is a little perturbed because he was the only one who voted for Christy Esposito.
Esposito, that's the shoplifter.
The shoplifter. Right, that's right.
Jimmy runs Christy Esposito down, informs her she didn't get the scholarship, and he then gives her a spirited speech of encouragement that seems to baffle poor Christy. Jimmy obviously sees the rejection of Christy as being symbolic of the type of rejections he himself had faced. And I'll touch on this more later, because I think this speech represents Jimmy's entire transformation into Saul. And it all does relate back to Chuck.
Remember, the winner takes it all.
I've gotta go get my bus.
Saul goes into his car, it won't start, and he breaks down into tears. Lalo investigates the Albuquerque Travel Wire branch, and he tries to con Fred into getting info on Mike. Fred is far more suspicious of Lalo than he was of Mike, and Lalo can't be arsed to continue this hustle. So he just climbs over when Fred is distracted and kills him instead. Lalo checks out some security footage, and he sees Mike coming back for the brochures on the video. Lalo has it all figured out. Ziegler looks very relaxed at the resort, and he receives a call. It's Lalo, and he tricks Ziegler into thinking he's one of Gus's guys. Mike shows up, grabs the phone, and realizes he is speaking with the dude who's been following him.
Michael, is that you?
Kim is preparing a strategy for Saul's hearing, and Saul has the brilliant idea that he should read the letter Chuck left him in his will. Mike leaves Ziegler in the car and calls Gus, and he informs Gus that he was being followed by someone. Gus knows who it is, and Gus wants Mike to wait there. After trying to urge Gus one last time that there was a better way, Mike agrees to do it himself.
Nothing you can say or do will make anyone trust you again.
When Ziegler realizes what is about to happen, Mike forces Ziegler to call his wife and have her go back to Germany. And following that, after a great deal of suspense, Mike shoots Ziegler dead while he's gazing at the stars. Holy shit, it's Gale. He's in the unfinished lab with Gus, and Gale can't wait to cook his first batch. But Gus informs him the operation will not begin until the lab is complete. But Gale seemed pretty fired up all the same, and he's just itching to cook.
Yeah. I can work with this. And I am certain that I could do a rudimentary cook, at the very least.
When Gale bails out, Mike and Gus silently stare at one another. Kim and Saul are marching into the appeal, and Kim gives him some final words of advice. Saul starts reading Chuck's letter at the hearing, and the panel looks rather disinterested. So Saul dramatically abandons the letter, he goes off script, and he gives a very touching improv account about how he long admired his big brother Chuck. The emotional impact of this speech exudes throughout the room, bringing several people to tears, Kim included.
Big reason I became a lawyer was Chuck. He was the most brilliant man I ever knew. I'll do everything in my power to be worthy of the name McGill.
Saul is all fired up in a celebratory mood, and Kim herself looks overjoyed. But Kim soon becomes horrified when she hears this.
Yeah, did you see those suckers? That one asshole was crying. He had actual tears. Jesus, Kim. And you were right. It was all about Chuck. The whole time. DBA, because I'm not going to be practicing under the name McGill, so.
All in all, I thought it was a terrific episode to close out the 4th season. I thought there was a lot of good stuff, and I think they did a terrific job transitioning into the post-Chuck era, because Chuck was always one of the central characters that made Better Call Saul feel like Better Call Saul. With the death of Ziegler, I thought they did a good job drawing out the tension there. Up until the moment Ziegler said he wanted to get a good look at the stars, I wasn't sure that Mike was going to kill him. So I thought that entire storyline was well done, not just in this episode, but throughout. We all thought it would be Kai who bit the bullet, but it wound up being Ziegler. And now we have to wonder about the ultimate fate of the rest of the Germans. I imagine they surely represent some type of a risk, as they would all have knowledge of Ziegler's disappearance. I don't think that bodes well for them. As for Lalo, I think his character makes a quality adversary for Gus and Mike, and everything about Lalo is a welcome addition in my eyes. Especially the fact that he provides a foil to Gus's plans, and even more so because of his merry demeanor. Early in season 4, Gus was having his way with the Salamanca crew. Whether it was killing Arturo, tormenting Hector, forcing Nacho under his thumb, or having the well-dressed duo wipe out his competition, Gus was kicking a lot of Salamanca ass. And now we finally have a Salamanca who seems to be a true strategist, unlike the loose cannon which is Tuco, or the silent cold assassins that are the well-dressed duo. And every aspect in this episode regarding Jimmy and Saul, because I think they were both present at times here, I enjoyed every moment, from the singing and the choice of the winner takes it all, the lyrics of which greatly reflect the story, up until the end when Saul horrified Kim. This is the second time that letter brought Kim to tears. This time, Saul was finally showing emotion, real emotion, over the death of his brother, which makes you think part of her master plan was to make Saul cope with his true feelings about Chuck, and she succeeded. He did exactly that, only his true feelings were in no way reflective of what she was anticipating.
And you were right, it was all about Chuck. The whole time.
Saul's speech at the panel was a big song and dance. It was all predicated on bullshit. He was just telling them what he thought they'd want to hear, and he was so convincing that even Kim bought into his act hook, line, and sinker. But the speech that Jimmy gave, that was the one involving Christy Esposito. That was the speech Jimmy gave where the real emotion flowed. Those were his real feelings. Because the rejection of Christy, because she was a shoplifter, it reminded him of the very real rejection he received from Chuck. So when Jimmy's car doesn't start, this isn't him mourning over Chuck. This is him feeling sorry for himself. That whenever he tried to honestly overcome his slippin' Jimmy past, he believes he never got a fair shake, that they could never see past that. And Chuck is the personification of this for Jimmy.
And all my life, I've wanted to make him proud.
I don't want to hurt your feelings.
I'll do everything in my power to be worthy of the name McGill.
But the truth is, you've never mattered all that much to me.
DBA, because I'm not going to be practicing under the name McGill, so...
And that was a real dagger in the heart for Kim. Not only did Saul identify those buying into his bullshit as suckers, his key line about doing the McGill name proud, he can't wait to start practicing as Saul Goodman, to forever rid himself of the McGill name. This may well have represented the true end for Kim and Saul, and I cannot wait for Season 5, as I think the way that Season 4 ended leaves us with some perfect setups for some interesting stories ahead, and hopefully we'll also get to see a little bit more of Gene's story too as an added bonus. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed, and have a wonderful night.
But I was a fool.
Esposito. That's the shoplifter.
Play by the rules.
The shoplifter. Right, that's right. You were never gonna get it. I gotta tell Howard to add another M to the firm, because it'll make it more symmetrical. They dangle these things in front of you, they tell you you got a chance, but I'm sorry, it's a lie. But I was a fool, playing by the rules. Remember, the winner takes it all.
Wait, Jimmy, what?
It's all good, man.
There's holmium and helium and hafnium and erbium and phosphorus and francium and fluorine and terbium and manganese and mercury and molybdenum, magnesium, dysprosium and scandium.